Hello, everyone. Today we have a very special guest, Hakeem Valles, former NFL tight end, now TikTok sensation. He is here on the podcast to answer all of your football questions. So I'll let you introduce yourself, give a little bit of background about who you are.
Calvin, appreciate you having me on the show. It's a pleasure. Name's Hakeem. I'm originally from Sicklerville, New Jersey, small town in South Jersey. Played football over at Monmouth University, school right by the beach, New Jersey, and went undrafted as an undrafted free agent in the 2016 draft. Played for the Arizona Cardinals for about 18 months, played for the Detroit Lions for about 18 months, and then was with the New York Football Giants for about 6 or 7 weeks, and then retired after the 2018 season.
Now, I read that you originally started out as a wide receiver, but played as a tight end in your senior year. Is that correct?
Yeah,
what was that transition like, going from wide receiver to tight end? What was the biggest challenge or difference in those two positions?
The transition going from receiver to tight end was nuts. I really just wanted to get on the field, and I really wanted to get granted a fifth year because with college, you can redshirt, and I was a bench player. And I was on scholarship, and I was like, if I don't play my senior year, I'm not even going to get a fifth year, and college is over. Never touched the field, no catches, no nothing. And one of our tight ends had gotten hurt, and a bunch of friends were kind of egging me on, saying, hey, maybe you should move to tight end. And put on about 40 pounds in a month.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, a lot of pizza, a lot of cottage cheese. And it was hard at first because it was like, I wouldn't be tired in my lungs. I'd be tired in my legs because I'd be like working out with a weight vest on when you put that much weight on that fast. But the hardest transition, one of the hardest things is actually getting into a tight end stance, like squatting and putting my hand in the ground was just so unnatural for me to begin with. And then learning how to block, because it's a big difference of, stock blocking someone as a receiver and using just your upper body and just like your grit to actually using your legs and driving someone off the ball. That was kind of the biggest difference. From a receiver and hand standpoint, it was easier because, in my mind, I'm still a receiver and I'm going against linebackers and like strong safeties who aren't as fast as me and have different leverage than going one-on-one with a cornerback.
Okay, but just a completely different position, more so than most people probably expect.
Absolutely.
Now, when you went undrafted, were you expecting to get a call after the draft? How exactly was that process of signing after the draft?
I was expecting the week of the draft, the Cardinals assistant GM came and worked me out on my college campus, and we had lunch. And essentially at the end of that, he was like, look, we're either going to take you in the late 6th or 7th round, or we're going to take you undrafted. Like, we want you, not going to BS with you or anything of that sort. And, I was excited, but like leading up to that, I had had lunch with the Falcons, the Seahawks, the Buccaneers, a bunch of other teams during like my pro day and all of that, but had one-on-ones and personal relationships with the coaches from those teams. So really didn't know how that was going to shake out. But after meeting with the Cardinals and talking to them, it seemed like my best fit in that scenario. And during the draft, the last day, Washington had called to my agent and was considering drafting me. And I was kind of nervous because it was like Jordan Reed was there, and I thought I was just going to be like a camp body in that standpoint. And they didn't wind up drafting me, which felt kind of good. When the Arizona's pick came up in the 6th or 7th round, the assistant GM called me like a little bit before it, and I was like, oh shit, like they're going to draft me. And he was calling me to tell me that they weren't going to draft me, that they were going defense. They actually drafted one of my buddies. His name's Harlan. And as soon as the draft ended, actually probably the last like 5 to 10 picks or so of the final round, they stayed on the phone with me. It's kind of a technique that teams will do if they want you as a free agent. They'll stay on the phone with you as the draft ends. Essentially, it's open. It's open game. It's free. It's open game as soon as the draft ends for teams to sign priority and undrafted free agents. And if someone else calls first, they could sign you as a free agent. So they'll get on the phone with you at the end of like the 7th round and to essentially like jam the phone lines to just talk. And it's funny when you're going through the draft process, they every team will try and get like 3, 4, 5 phone numbers from you, like people who are going to be there on draft day in case that scenario happens and they want you to. But Cardinals called end of the 7th round, and I was like, oh snap, like it's great. And like then we're kind of like wasting time a little bit, and then it officially ended, and like, all right, man, we're excited to have you, blah 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 blah, and then transfer you to like their football ops person to get your flight set up and all that type of stuff to get out there. And it was a cool moment.
How soon after that draft process were you out in Arizona working out with them? How fast is that turnaround from?
I think with Arizona, it was after the draft, I'd say probably about a week or so. A week,
so they get you up pretty fast.
A week and some change. It depends. Some drafts it's much faster. It depends on when the team is hosting their rookie minicamp, because some teams will do their rookie minicamp, take a break, and then start up OTAs. Some teams will do their rookie minicamp and it'll flow right into OTAs, which that's what Arizona did. So like actually it's probably more like 10 days or so until rookie minicamp started. So got to chill, went into rookie minicamp, which is insanity. It's literally like Hunger Games for football players, because you're talking a couple hundred guys
fighting
and you've got
spot.
Fighting for maybe like, because you're going to have your 7 to 8 draft picks there, then you're going to have your 3 to 4 undrafted free agents that you signed right after the draft, and then you're going to have a couple 5, 6 deep at every position across the board, all fighting for maybe 1 to 2 spots.
Who are those people? Where do they come from? Are they just
they're guys? It's I don't know if, when you look at the draft after it ends this year, you'll see a bunch of guys who will say, "Oh, I got drafted." You'll see guys, "Oh, I'm signed by this team," and you'll see other guys who are having rookie minicamp invites, which is essentially it's an invite to come to rookie minicamp, work out for 3 days of, I wouldn't say hell, but it's like hell, because it's literally you get there that night, you're going to install 100 plays, and the next day you're going to wake up and you're going to run those 100 plays, do a workout with the trainers, all that, watch film of it, install another 100 plays, and do the same thing the next day. And then you're going to get on a flight and go home. And if you're good enough, 2, 3 guys, they'll then sign them after. Actually, someone who was a rookie minicamp invite my rookie year. Do you know Elijah Penny, running back, fullback for the New York Giants?
Oh yeah. I know the name.
He was a rookie minicamp guy my rookie year in Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So is it a cutthroat environment? No friends? No, it just everyone's...
With rookie minicamp, it can be, because it's everyone's going to get, hire 100 guys to fire 98 of them in 2 days. So it's more of us nerve wracking. Everyone's pooping every couple minutes. Everyone's kind of walking on eggshells and nervous and excited because like you're in an NFL facility on top of that. And then when you're on the field, like you can't go that hard either, because the club will get fined during rookie minicamp if there's too much action going on, and it's like a $250,000 to $500,000 fine. So now you got to work on pacing yourself, but then it's like if you go too soft, somebody might dominate you, and now you get embarrassed. So it's very hard, especially when you're like in the interior, like a lineman or tight end, because you still got to block, you still got to fit someone up, and you've got like shells on, not like pads, like almost like I don't even know how to explain what they. It's like a shell of a shoulder pad, kind of under your jersey.
Okay.
But it's like the Hunger Games.
So you knew you were gonna sign with a team, but how soon?
Oh yeah. Yep. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
How soon in your high school career did you realize that NFL, or your college career? I mean, how soon in your college career did you realize that the NFL was gonna be happening for you? Did you know all along, or were you kind of thinking it could or couldn't? Was it a shock to you when you got to the end of your, senior season and had teams meeting with you? Or is that something you were anticipating?
For me, it was a mindset thing of, 2 things. One, when I was in high school, when I finished up high school, I wrote our teachers let us write letters to ourselves of like, what are you going to be doing in 5 years? And I wrote like, I'm going to be in the NFL in 5 years. And I made it. But when I got to college, it was more of a shock because I was a bench player. I rode the bench, didn't get my first catch until senior year of college. So it was like, the NFL is not looking more or less of like a reality. But then also my senior year, my little brother dropped out of college out of UVA and got drafted by the Oakland Raiders as a sophomore. So watching that, I don't know if you have siblings, but if you have a little brother make it to the NFL, you're like, shit, I can do that if he can do that. And that's more or less like, that was one of the bigger motivations of, okay, if he's good enough to make it to the NFL, like I used to, be in the same path as that person. And like, I know, you know what I mean? So it was like, that was a big motivator. And then after my first season, before getting granted my red shirt, like my 5th year season, and my coach came up to me and was just like, you got what it takes. If you just, really put your head down this summer and work, like you'll be in the NFL. And I trusted him on that and I made it.
What was a bigger kind of shock to you? The atmosphere and training, all the differences between high school and college, or college to NFL? What was more of a kind of eye-opening, this is, the real thing?
College to NFL. Like it's, for me, it's even still hard to watch college football now because it's so slow and sloppy in a sense. NFL is crazy because like the jump from college to NFL is like, on a high school team, you've got, maybe 2 or 3 superstars. College team, you got maybe 1 superstar. NFL is that superstar that's on every college team is every player on the field. So now it's the separation for most is confidence and just, are you actually mentally prepared and are you unconsciously competent on what your roles and responsibilities are with the team? Because confidence is everything in the NFL. You look at, Odell Beckham and his one-handed catch, like that took him to a whole nother level. He was already a stud and a star, but after that catch and the stardom that, put on him, but the confidence that instilled within him brought him to a whole nother level. And it's hard to get that confidence because you're nervous as all hell all the time. Every day is, especially when you're an undrafted guy, you're watching guys people get cut every single day. You don't hear about it because it's not like the star player getting cut, but the left tackle on punt team is very replaceable. The right tackle on punt team is very replaceable. The R5 on kickoff is replaceable. And when you see that adds a lot of nervousness just to your daily just mental headspace, which takes away from your performance on the field. So like that, you don't deal with that in college. In college, it's a party. You got school. You got all these other distractions. You got all this stuff. And then you get to play football, which is kind of like a escape in that sense, where NFL, it's, 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. Like you're in football mode all day. You're working out, you're in meetings, you're on the field, you're working out some more, you're back on the field, you're watching film. Like you watch film on referees in the NFL.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, because referee crews travel together. So you're on like game week, you're watching about a 15-minute montage. One of your coaches puts together a montage, and he now goes through all the bad calls they made in the past week. They go through the data of this crew calls more pass interferences, more offensive, holdings, more. If you do this, you'll get called for defensive holding. Like all this, like it's you're not doing that in college. You're not doing that in high school. So it's there's levels
just
to
it. A whole different level of intensity. 100%. I did not realize that thing about the film on the refs. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So that leads into a question we got on TikTok. This is from Ethan. He wants to know, in terms of training and atmosphere and team chemistry, what the biggest difference from college to NFL was.
Training to atmosphere. So training is and it might be different at a big D1 school, but I went to FCS school, Monmouth University. Shout out to them, like amazing school, amazing coaching staff. Our head coach at Monmouth has been the only head coach there in the history of the football program, which you don't see that in college football at all. No. But the difference, it's so much science to it. You're getting your body scanned from with a DEXA scanner to understand all the, the makeup of your body, to then meet with nutritionists and get your blood sampled to figure out where all your deficiencies are, to then now that all of that data being compiled to know what should be in your diet, how many times you should be working out, how your workout regimen should differ from this person's workout regimen, what supplements you should be taking off the field. Then when you're actually training, I mean, you've got every toy that you want, at your disposal to train with and then to recover with. In Detroit, we had, cryotherapy machines, we had 4 float tanks, we had all different types of stuff of like, this is next level. And when it comes to the NFL, it's a game about, they always say it's a game about inches. How can you get a one up on the next man or the next team or the next person? And with the science that they have nowadays, especially when it comes to training, it's absolutely wild. From a, what do you say, camaraderie as well, did he ask about?
It was atmosphere and team chemistry.
Team chemistry, there's chemistry, but it's hard when you've got turnover that's so high. You've got guys getting cut. Someone's getting cut every week at least, for the most part. And maybe multiple people in that sense. So chemistry isn't the easiest thing to build. Plus, when you're leaving the NFL facility, you're going back home to your family, to your kids, to your wife, to go and be a family person and do all that type of stuff. When you're in college, you're leaving the facility to then go to the dining hall and kick it with your friends, to then go back to the dorms and kick it with your teammates still, to then go out and party with your teammates still, to then wake up and do it all over again. So the chemistry is completely different. I'm much closer to my college football teammates than my previous NFL teammates. And then atmosphere, it's just more stressful in an NFL facility than it is in college. It's the added stress of, this could be your last day every single day. There's someone called the Grim Reaper on every team that is mainly his only job that's facing towards the team is cutting players. The only time you see him is because he's in the locker room to say, hey, coach needs to see you upstairs. Bring your iPad.
So when you see that guy, it's
get that, run. You see him in the locker room, people will literally go into the bathroom, go and take a dump, go get naked and get in the shower. So it's like, all right, maybe I'll just stay in the shower until my next meeting and he won't be able to find me or catch me in that sense. But yeah, there's a Grim Reaper on every team. And that's, like I said, when you see him, you're like, damn, don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact.
Did you, in the locker room, is everyone in there together, like all the teammates? What was your craziest experience with like an NFL legend?
NFL legend? I remember, I'm trying to think, I remember Larry Fitzgerald just showed us his paycheck one time. And I was just like, holy shit. Compared to ours, after taxes, it was it's like $500,000, something like for a weekly paycheck. And it was just
was that when you were a rookie?
Yeah, it was when I was a rookie. So that was mind boggling to see something like that. I think my first week when I was in New York, Odell gave me a backpack, which was cool little Thrasher backpack. And I was super nice because someone like most legends get ridiculous amounts of mail just sent to the facility, titled to them, and it's gear, it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. And most of the time they just give it out to all the other guys that are around him. My locker just happened to be right next to his. But besides that, I'm trying to think, from a legend standpoint, there's always funny, cool stuff that happened because you're in the locker room all day for the most part. That's your downtime. That's your kind of safe space in the facility in that standpoint where it's like that's kind of your area.
This next question is from Field Season. He wants to know what the hardest hit you ever received in your whole football career was.
Oh, football career or NFL career?
Whole career. The hardest hit.
We were playing Kennesaw State. Yeah, which is in right outside of Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
And oh man, it was like I had a bubble screen. I was a receiver. No, I was tight end at this time, but I did a lot of standing up stuff, and we did a lot. It was like a trips tray type of formation, and I was the hot if they blitz, but there was two hots, and he shouldn't have thrown it to me. And so I'm throwing a bubble screen like with my head turned like this, and I catch it, and as soon as I like turn my head, I am lit up. But he hit me right in that sternum spot where it knocks the wind out of you. So like crawling for a second, like trying to get up, like, oh my God. And in their stadium, they had like maybe like 20,000 fans. So like they're going nuts as this is happening. So like, and you hear it all at that time, but that was definitely my worst hit.
It'd be on like one of those highlight compilations with like players getting lit up.
Yes. I don't know if it was on one of those, but if I was that defender, I would have put that on my highlight tape.
I always feel bad on those plays where the quarterback like leads them into just one of those like bone crunching hits. Because you can when you're watching it on TV, you can see it from a mile away.
Exactly, right?
Big Baller 117 wanted to know who your football idol was growing up.
Growing up, probably Donovan McNabb. I'm a diehard Eagles fan, and he was just the quarterbacks. I loved Donovan McNabb, loved like Brian Dawkins, loved T.O. back then. I was just I bled and still do bleed green and white. As
do you think they're winning
fan.
Tonight?
Is that game tonight against?
I think it was. I think it was. I thought it was Saturday night.
Is there a couple games tonight? That's like Saturday night. I was literally just.
Yeah, so there's Kansas City, Denver actually just started, and then at 8:15 Philly, Dallas.
Philly. Oh yeah, I'm definitely watching that. I didn't realize Philly played Dallas.
Who do you think is going to win that one? Do you think it's Philly?
Oh, Philly. They got to win. Okay. I mean, F Dallas. I've always, I hate the Cowboys. Absolutely hate the Cowboys.
If they had been the team on the phone instead of Arizona, would you have gone?
As long as that check clears, I would have did it. I would have did it. I would have had to play for Jerry.
Alrighty. We got another question. Was Kadarius Toney got a lot of like backlash this season when he said he didn't ever watch football and it was just like a job. Did you know players, or for you was that ever something for you, or one of your friends like where you didn't watch it? Okay,
I was like that. So that's common. I'm less like it now because like I enjoy it, but when you're playing, and like it was honestly one of my advantages because until like it was like actual like game time and go time and you're studying film and all that, I didn't know who most guys were. So subconsciously, that, oh shit, that's Chandler Jones. Like he's going to fuck me up. Sorry if I'm not allowed to curse, but he's going to fuck me up, blah, 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 blah. And like now you've got that subconscious fear and you wind up losing against him versus like, I don't know who the fuck you are. You just wear number 55 and I'm going to punch you in your throat. That helps in that standpoint. I kind of use that to my advantage. Like as crazy as it sounds, I didn't know who Darius Slay was when I showed up to Detroit. I knew who he was pretty fast, but it was first day practice squad. I had a nice catch, and ran. One thing they did in Detroit was, the defense got fined if they didn't get any fumbles during the week, like during the practice week, like punching the ball out. But one thing about Detroit was until the ball goes back into the coach's hand, it's free game. And I ran. He comes out of nowhere, boom, punches the ball out. And then it's my first day. I dive on the ball and everyone's freaking out on me. Don't dive. It's crazy. But I think there's nothing wrong with that in the sense of like, if you understand the X's and O's and then you know how to watch film when it comes time to actually prepare, sometimes it's like leaving your job and going back to your job when you're watching football outside of your job. Like obviously there's important games you want to watch if this, we make it to the playoffs if this team wins or it's a division game or something of that sort. And besides that, I only right now watch I'll watch some Red Zone if I'm free on a Sunday, but I'll watch the Eagles and I'm a huge Matt Stafford fan. So I'll watch the Rams all the time and I'll watch the Bucs. I'm Tom Brady. Not a Tom Brady fan. I just believe that winners win.
Did you watch that game last week?
I did. That was interesting, to say the least. We'll see how it all plays out.
It'll be exciting. I think we'll see him in the league again. I think someone will.
I think so.
Someone will take a shot.
Deshaun Watson is still on an NFL roster.
Yeah.
Which says enough, you know.
Now, not to have you comment on that situation exactly, but one of the claims he made was like they made him play hurt. Have you ever known of that? Players like playing hurt? Does that happen a lot?
Players
kind of push themselves through things a lot.
As crazy as it sounds, I mean, trainers are in cahoots with upper management and are in cahoots with the teams and all that. And, okay, either he's like, or we'll say an injury is not as bad as it is to then just release you, give you an injury settlement versus no, he needs surgery and needs to be on IR and pay him actually more. Or you got an Antonio Brown situation, but it's again, there's the truth and then there's Antonio's story and there's the Buck story. And we don't know what is what, because there's so many, every day something else comes out.
Came out, he was on that podcast. Was that yesterday?
Oh yeah, full send. Yeah, I haven't finished it yet, but I was watching a solid amount of it. And then you got
makes some interesting claims. Yeah, the
girl who came into the hotel and all that.
How much trouble would you be in to have anyone, but especially a girl, come into the hotel on an away game? Is that? I mean, you probably would get in trouble. It really depends. If the girl can sneak, just if you, I don't know if you watched the podcast with her, but she just walked right past. There's essentially, when you go to a game, there's a cop on every floor, and that's really it. But 75 to 90% of those cops are starstruck because, like, oh shit, like Matthew Stafford's on my floor. Oh my gosh, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, doing their job, but it's like, oh. Not saying Matthew Stafford, but let's say Matthew Stafford walks up like, hey, man, I got someone coming up, blah, 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 blah. Are you going to say no? I don't know. Depends on how much of a fan you are. Same thing with the police officer. I don't know Antonio Brown's situation, but funny enough, the morning of that game, I don't know if you saw his Instagram story, he had a picture with the cop outside of his hotel room. I don't know if you saw that was on his story. But and after I watched the podcast, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. So it's like, it's not, I wouldn't say it wouldn't be hard. If you got in trouble, I mean, you'd get a massive fine. You potentially get cut depending on who you are. I mean, one kid got my rookie year. This is my second year camp in Arizona, and somebody, it's crazy. He was, instead of sneaking a girl up to his room, he brought her into the bathroom on like the floor of, like on the main floor of the hotel, and got caught and freaked out on the hotel staff. Like, do you know who I am? Blah, blah, blah. And he wasn't an anybody. He was an undrafted rookie. And BA, Bruce Arians, I mean, he told the whole story to the team, like after it happened, and he was gone by the end of the day. But so it's like, it depends on who you are. You know what I mean? The bathroom on the main floor.
Like, why would you do that? Like, come on. There's so many other like the bathroom on the main hotel lobby floor.
That's that's just. I mean, you deserve to be done. After that.
You ruined it.
This one's from David Jenkins, and you already kind of answered this. Since you played for multiple teams, who do you root for when you watch them? And you already said the Eagles, they're your team. But we've seen recently Cardinals-Lions has become a little bit of a rivalry because the Lions beat them when most people think they shouldn't. In those games, who do you root for?
The Cardinals, I'd say I really just enjoy the game in that sense, but I'm an underdog kind of a guy, so it was cool to watch that happen. Like, I'm always rooting for like the Lions to just screw somebody's season and ego up, especially this year of like how the season went. So it was cool to watch that. But I'm also, I wouldn't say I'm a Cardinals fan, but I'm a huge Kyler Murray fan, like his style of play. So it's kind of it's funny when you see that, not funny. It's funny when you see that those types of games happen. And it's funny. My first week in Arizona, No, my first week in Detroit, like when I got cut from Arizona, signed to Detroit, we were playing the Cardinals week 1. So it was kind of cool because that was like my first game in Detroit was Cardinals Detroit. If that makes sense.
You got to get like a revenge.
Yeah, I didn't get I was on the practice squad, but it was cool seeing everyone and, snitching to the whole team about everyone's strengths and weaknesses and play calls and audible. As for you'll see that honestly league wide after someone gets cut. A lot of times, if he's a practice squad type of worthy type of guy, a team that is playing that team week 1 or any time will sign that guy to get the competitive advantage to now.
Just to get info about the team?
To get info about the team. And then that team is also going to talk about that and have to change everything. So like if I'm playing on the Lions and we just cut someone and we play the Dolphins next week and Wednesday, the Dolphins sign that player in the meeting on Thursday morning and go, oh guys, they just signed Calvin today. So we have to change all of our audibles. So now literally everything has to, because now especially if he's like a receiver or if he's whatever, because now it's just like, it all. So it's like, if you hear this word, this is the play. You hear this word, that's the play.
Yeah.
You hear this word, that's the play. If it's special teams, this means this is a fake. This means that's this. This means, and then like, you'll literally sit down with the coaching staff and blab it all out.
That's so interesting. I didn't realize they did that. Do they
You'll
at least
see
pay you for that? Or will they just cut you the next week?
You get paid to be on the practice squad and you're going to practice that week, but they can cut you the next week in that sense.
Now, what is that process like learning all the audibles and plays? Like how does one go about memorizing so many plays? And you said sometimes on short notice.
The same way you memorized your Spanish vocab, flashcards, walking through it, and just a lot of flashcards and a lot of just like, it's no different than going to school. Like you got your, notebooks on notebooks on notebooks, iPads on iPads on iPads, and it's not easy to put it that way. it's time. It's like, how do you get stronger? Do push-ups and eat well. But most people can't do that. What
happens if you forget a play or an audible during the game when you're playing? Are you in big trouble?
It depends on what happens on that play, because most people don't see it, but like most I wouldn't say most, 40-60 are interceptions on the quarterback versus someone else, or getting sacked, or like sometimes getting sacked isn't on the lineman, it's on the quarterback. Sometimes the interception isn't on the quarterback, it's on the receiver or it's on the lineman, in the sense that, okay, we're running this play, so we need a supermax protection because there's going to be no hots on this play because we're going to go deep downfield. And the line, like most offenses, depending on who you are, the linemen don't know what the play is. Like the actual play is, the only thing they know is what the protection is. We're run blocking this way, run blocking that way. Are we pass blocking and sliding this way? Or are we sliding that way? It's very more or less simple to them, but then you got to make points, you got to do combos and all that stuff, and you got to follow your rules. You mess your rules up, and now Stafford thinks he's got a 5-step drop and he's got time, and now he gets blindsided because the center made the wrong point of who's the Mike backer and who's not the Mike backer, or Stafford himself made the wrong point of who's the Mike backer and who's not, or the receiver now runs the complete wrong route. He throws it screwed up, or it is a shorter type of concept and there's supposed to be someone there for a hot route and the receiver doesn't know what his hot route is, or the receiver or the tight end doesn't know. For example, every single play, there's a point. Who's the Mike? Who's the Sam? Who's -1? Who's -2? Every play or protection has rules for who blitzes in that protection. So if 2 people come in this protection, the whole play changes. So normally you may have had a 12-yard dig, but because those 2 guys came, you need to run a 3-step pop route. And if you don't run that 3-step pop route, you're either going to get the quarterback killed or the quarterback's going to throw it to you, because a dig route, the stem to a dig route looks just like a 3-step pop route. And now you got the quarterback throwing it to you, but your eyes aren't there because you're running a 12-yard dig. But now it gets picked off by the person who just replaced the blitzer. Because when someone blitzes, usually someone replaces it. Now you got someone coming in for a quick pick. The receiver didn't turn around. And now the announcers are like, oh, the quarterback and the receiver have terrible whatever. But no, the tight end literally just didn't know what the hell he was doing. He didn't know, he wasn't paying attention to like everything that happens. Pre-snap is almost more important than the actual play because you need to know everything that's going on. Not everything, but there's about 4 or 5 guys you need to know. If they do something different, then the whole play can potentially change. Or if you don't hear something in the snap count, which is an automatic trigger that we're going to flip the play this side or that side, or if you're not paying attention of like that guy is hot, or if you're not paying attention of, there's some plays where whatever the defense is in is what the play we're going to run. No auto, like, because if you're in an away game, everything is silent because you can't hear shit, especially on third down. But like the defense could be, in over versus under, and we're going to run the play at whatever. I don't know if you know like an over front versus an under front is, but we're only running the play towards the 3 technique. And if you're not paying attention and realize the 3 technique is on this side versus that side, and it's an outside zone run, but you just stepped completely the wrong way. 1, you can get someone completely hurt. 2, the whole line falls over, play gets destroyed in the backfield. The quarterback could mess up, make the wrong point, or if it's an like a verbal type of thing and he makes the wrong, like there's so many things that go into it that you don't need to think about like in college or in high school and stuff like that, where it's I don't even know what the original question was, but it's pure. It's you have to know it because your job 150% depends on it. Because if I screw up and I was supposed to stay in Stafford, these people are blitzing or whatever. Now as a tight end, I can't run a route. I have to stay and actually protect, but I still run a route. And now Stafford gets blown up and he gets hurt. Oh, I'm getting my ass cut the next day, 150%.
Okay. I had no clue there was so much.
But if I'm Calvin Johnson, I'm not getting cut. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a
so being a fringe player, it's in many ways mentally more challenging because one mistake and it could be the end.
That's it. 100%.
Wow. That is so interesting to hear that insight on it. Now, can you even watch a football game like just for fun now, or are you seeing all this stuff and
you're seeing it all in real time? I mean, you can watch it for fun in a sense, but it's like most people, it's hard sometimes watching with fans because you have to just shut your mouth because they just don't get it in a lot of different ways, if that makes sense.
I don't know why did he throw that pick and you're knowing, the tight end stepped wrong and that'll okay, wow. That is so interesting. That is really interesting. Now, I want to get you out of here on time so that you can watch Philly, of course. But I got to ask, now that you've retired from the NFL, what is life like for you? What have you been up to? What are you doing? And what are you pursuing?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I've got a 3-year-old daughter, which is, father first has been, actually had her the morning of a Lions game. Back in preseason 2018, we were playing the Giants. Stafford actually had one of his daughters he had his daughter at night at like midnight. I had my daughter at like 10 a.m. And then we both played that night in the preseason game. We were both completely drained. But it was definitely a cool moment in that sense. But, been working through fatherhood. And then I launched a coffee brand. We're called St. Margaret Lane. We do a bunch of B2B coffee, like, business to business where, a car dealership or a hair salon or a real estate brokerage might have our coffee, or we also do the K-Cups, for the Keurig machines. Yeah. They might have that in their office. We do white label coffee. So let's say you tomorrow wanted to start a coffee business, but you don't want to roast. You want to just buy coffee beans wholesale, slap your own brand on it, and then sell it to your community, to your distribution. We do that for a couple of different groups. And then we just, like within the last week or so, launched our own brand, St. Margaret Lane, to now go direct to consumer to, sell coffee and bean, like in whole bean and ground style, and then also in the K-Cup side. So it's been crazy. It's been exciting. It's been super fun. Coffee's been more or less a new passion for me, more or less of a, like a recent type of thing. But, I partnered with the manager of a coffee shop that's not too far from where I live out in St. Louis. And, we took about 6 months, put our heads down, understand the ins and outs of the business. He's been roasting coffee for over 3 years now. and kind of held my hand. And now we roast together in a co-roasting facility in St. Louis. And it's been a super fulfilling process and journey. And it's I feel like we're like right there for like, really taking off with what we're doing.
Is there going to be a store, or is it just the beans that are sold? Oh
yeah, no store. It's completely e-commerce, completely remote really in that standpoint. Wow. So we're selling straight to like, and we're trying to get into within the next few weeks we'll be in a subscription type of model. So meaning if your favorite coffee is XYZ brand, there's no reason why that coffee isn't showing up to your door once a month or twice a month. So getting to that type of level or scale in that standpoint. But I think the store model is, I wouldn't say it's obsolete. It's just not what we're trying to do. We're trying to get it in a couple of grocery stores, all around in that standpoint. But it lets us be a lot more flexible, not actually having the brick and mortar aspect.
Yeah, I mean, we saw during the pandemic how many brick and mortar stores just disappeared.
Yeah, you're at the mercy of too many different things from that standpoint versus us. Like, I mean, one thing we guarantee is our freshness, because we roast. I wouldn't say we roast to order, but like we're roasting coffee every week that we're fulfilling the orders from that previous week. So it's beyond fresh.
I'll have to give it a try. Is it available to buy online now? Oh, I'm a big coffee guy.
Yeah, I'll shoot you over the website after this. It's smlcsupply.com for your audience. But I'll shoot that over to you.
Yeah, I'll put a link on there too for that. That awesome. Now, a business I would imagine is completely different than the NFL. What is there been anything in starting this business that's been harder than things you did in football?
Just patience and discipline, just like most other, like all things in that standpoint, is really just patience and process. So it mirrors a lot of different things of just, one foot in front of the other, from that standpoint. So it's I'm trying to think what's most difficult. There's challenges right now with the supply chain madness. Things just take forever. Like we had a client who needed like 3,000 K-cups like yesterday and the day before yesterday. But with COVID on top of that, the people who make our, it's a white label partner. So let's say, you had Calvin's Coffee and you have your own label and all that, and you could put that on top of your K-cup. But with K-cups, the lids are very special. Like you can't just, what's the word? You can't just slap a logo on top of it and try and put it through a Keurig machine, because a Keurig machine will actually spit it out. Like it won't work. There's like a special sensor inside of those Keurig K-cup lids. And so there's special companies that do the printing, because you have to use this special ink on the what do you call it? But the vice president of that company got COVID. Somebody else got COVID. And there was just like we needed this delivered by January 2nd. And after December 23rd, we heard from no one. And I was just like, this is crazy. So we had we made it work by overnighting things and getting couriers to actually wind up fulfilling the order on the back end. Because we had the labels were coming from Illinois to be shipped to Miami to get the lids done, to get the K-cups done, to then get shipped to Orlando, where the event was, where they needed those three. It was a mess. The supply chain and we're a coffee company, but where our profitability comes from is purely logistics. And it's very cool working with my partner, because we kind of both have the same get it done type of attitude. Because it's the reason why we can outprice our competition. Like we try and provide the best cup of coffee for the cheapest price from that standpoint, because of the hard work that we've put in on the logistical side.
Did you always dream of going into business after football, or has this been recent that you got into the business side?
I've always been.
It sounds like you just know your stuff so well.
Yeah, I've always been an entrepreneur. So like I'm saying I'm an entrepreneur before I'm a football player. I was the kid in middle school. I used to sell Skittles. I used to go to Sam's Club, buy a 36 count box of Skittles for $23 or for $13, sell them out, make $23 a box. When I got to college, I had an iPhone repair company. So we used to fix iPhone 4s. My little brother cracked his screen. I went on YouTube. This is like 2010, 2011. like peak YouTube era before Amazon Prime. Like it takes you like 2 weeks to get a screen in from Amazon Prime, costs $30. All the mall kiosks were charging about $100. And I would charge $60, make $30 every screen. And I fixed 3 to 4 phones a day. That was like one of my biggest like first hustles. And then I turned around and would take all my cracked screens and send it to this company in Alabama who would give me $5 to recycle each screen because they would then repair it. So then I would go and buy cracked screens from all the mall kiosks. I'd pay them $2.50 for all their cracked screens that they just fixed today, box them up in my dorm room, ship them out to Alabama, and make $5 every screen that I sent. I'm talking like made thousands of dollars doing that. And then while I was in college, the girl I was dating, her dad had a house flipping business, and we flipped about 10 houses together up in North Jersey, which was a very cool hand-in-hand learning experience. And then throughout the league, I bought properties in all the cities I played in. So I bought a 4-unit apartment building in Arizona, bought a duplex in Detroit, bought a 40-acre cannabis farm in Michigan as well. And then after retiring, kind of just continued to double down on being an entrepreneur.
So you're in real estate, you're in coffee, you've done football, and now TikTok.
TikTok is, I try and tell people don't sleep on TikTok because it's going to be the future of platforms in a lot of different ways. It's, why is Jake Paul able to make millions of dollars on doing a boxing fight? Because back in early 2012, 2013, he was crushing it on Vine.
Vine,
but he was on Vine
a long time ago.
Yeah, just like as someone who lived through the Vine era, but being in college throughout the Vine era, everyone was insecure. I might have posted 2 Vines, but I must have consumed hundreds of Vines. Same thing you're seeing right now. Audit all your friends. How many of them are on TikTok, but don't actually post?
All of them. Yeah. I hadn't thought about that way.
It's the same opportunity when you think of these platforms. It's supply and demand of content. Who's going to actually be there and who's not, from a relevancy standpoint. But like, it's a lot easier to break out because there's so much demand and there's not much supply. So the algorithm rewards you for actually just posting content. It's early days. It's like Vine. It's like early Instagram. If you posted on Instagram, you could crush it back in the day. And then now it's Instagram.
Even YouTube, back when I was like 6, I mean, there was Fred. People like that who just post a video and it would get views. Yeah.
Every platform has a moment where it goes from there's more eyes than actual posting, and then it flips where there's more posting than actual attention. So like Instagram, there are more people post on Instagram than actually consume it. That's why you can't get as much. That's why you'll unless you post a reel and it goes viral, you rarely will get more, views or likes than how many people that actually follow you from that standpoint.
I mean, on Instagram, it's even hard to get that. It's recently, at least. Yeah. Well, that's very interesting insight on social media. We can wrap this up. It's been about an hour. I thought this went great. I thank you so much for coming on this podcast. I think people will be really happy to hear just about the NFL from someone who was there and knows the answers to the questions that you have when you're watching the game. I mean, it's been absolutely awesome. And I will put the links and everything for your coffee in the description so we can get people seeing that. Do you have any final comments? And after that, I'm going to ask you one last question.
Okay, cool. Final comments. Post on TikTok for anyone who's out there who has anything that they want to talk about, has a business, has anything, or forget about money and clout. Think about legacy. Think about when you have kids and they have kids and perfect example. If you could watch TikToks of your great grandpa, would you watch them?
Yeah.
One day your great grandkids are going to listen to all your podcasts, watch all your TikToks, watch all your Instagrams. So think about that type of legacy that you want to leave and post all that type of stuff. Most people are just fucking around, putting out the fake version of themselves on most of these platforms, just trying to pander to what's going to get them likes and views in that standpoint versus just the most sustainable content strategy is being yourself.
Amazing advice. Thank you. I think everyone's going to love that. And then the final question, Super Bowl prediction.
I'd love for the Eagles to win. Just like I said last year with I was right last year. Winners win. Tom Brady in the league, it's very hard for him to lose a Super Bowl. Yeah. But having said that, I think the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl.
Rams, all right.
John Matthew Stafford is going to, I believe, lead the Rams to the promised land.
Now, you have no bias for Stafford, right? No connection to where he's played in the past.
Playing for the Lions, yeah, but it's like, I genuinely think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, if not the best. And
that team's on fire.
On fire right now. They had a little slump, but now I think they're back in that standpoint.
Cam Akers is back too. I saw that.
He is back.
After rupturing an Achilles. Insane.
Which is crazy. Supersonic.
Yeah.
But I think I'd like to see the Rams win a Super Bowl. For Stafford. You know, he's like that.
Who do you think they beat?
What is the Chiefs? Are the Chiefs on? Are they on? The Chiefs aren't on a roll right now, are they?
They've been winning, but it's been kind of ugly a lot. A lot of ugly wins.
But I wouldn't sleep on the Chiefs. At the end of the day, the Ravens aren't hot.
No.
Are they even going to the playoffs?
I don't think they're eliminated,
it's got to be like a weird.
They have to win in something else. They don't control their own fate. Yeah, and I think Lamar's injured or out this game as well.
I also wouldn't. The Patriots have been sneaky lately.
Yeah, they have, and Belichick has his ways.
You can't count him out either. I don't know who they'd be playing against. I wouldn't. I'm more of an NFC guy than an AFC guy. I've only played in the NFC, so I don't know. I would say the Ravens if they were hot and Lamar was on fire. Like Lamar is going to get a Super Bowl at some point. This season hasn't been his year with injuries and all that.
But you think the Rams are going to win it and Stafford is going to get his ring? All righty.
And his flowers, yep.
I think it could happen. Well, Thank you so much for coming on this podcast. It's been a delight to talk to you. And podcast listeners, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.
Appreciate you having me, man.